Hi everyone, I have a project share for you. These are a couple of summer journals that I'm going to have in my Etsy shop. The listing will be below. I've been very inspired by some of the projects I've been seeing on Instagram using some of the Maggie Holmes papers, and these are made with her Willow Lane collection. So it's a little bit of a departure for me, but I really enjoyed making these, something a little bit different. They are both hardcover books. They measure 4 3/4 by 8, so they're kind of a wide traveler's notebook size. And the spine on both of them are 1 and 1.5 inches. There are 4 signatures in each, 64 pages, 64 sides, and then at the back I have a large expandable pocket in each of them. So let me start with this one. They're both just tied with some seam binding, and they're both very similar inside. I've got a painted Tim Holtz book plate. I've titled this one Memories, and I've done quite a bit of sewing on some of the pages in both books. A little bit of edge punching, and fairly simple on the back. So let me take you inside. On each book, I've got a large pocket in the front and in the back. And lots of trims here, lots of sewing as I mentioned. I've got a shaker tag here, and the idea that I had for this was that you could use this as a bookmark. Lots of pretty trims here from, that's from Michaels actually. I've got, so lots of scrapbooking paper. I've also got some vintage papers here, and those are from Feed the Birdies on Instagram. She has some great real vintage items that I love to use in my journals. This is a printable from my shop actually, from my Vintage Hankies printables collection, and that's from the Turquoise collection, and I've used it a little bit further on here as well that I'll point out. Just some journaling cards here. Lots of gathered pretty trims. And this is a printable from my shop as well. Lots of places to journal and add pictures. This is a printable from Pink Paper Peppermints. Some blue grid paper, and that was from her most recent collection, the Matchbook collection, as is this. And just some grid paper in this pocket. That's from her collection as well. And just a couple of spots to journal there. And just a few tags and so on. This opens for some extra journaling space. There's a few sheets of this note paper, so you could do your journaling there and add some pictures. Lots of buttons, a little bit of washi tape, some vintage pink tracing paper, and that's from the Paper Basket on Etsy. A little bit of Michaels paper here I thought went well with this particular look. And this yellow ledger is from, I believe it's from the Paper Basket as well. And here I've got an envelope that I've made, a library card, and a guest check. And I don't have anything in that bag, just a little bit of daisy trim. And a large envelope here that I have sewn some fabric on. This is actually vintage 1970s seam binding that I found as I was going through some of my sewing things in the basement. So that's either from my mom or my grandmother. I don't know which one, but it gathered really nicely. And I've sewn all around that, and that's a great spot just to add a few things. Painted Tim Holtz binder clip. And just just a tag here, and I've used some really pretty tulle there as the topper. Just a few little labels and things there. A little doily, some vintage ledger. I've made this journaling card, Live, Create, Tell the Story. I've added just a bag here for you to add a few things if you'd like to, and that's a printable from that turquoise vintage hankies collection. Maggie Holmes kind of sparkly flower there on that tab. More journaling sheets here, and just a bag that I've added with a little bit of a journaling space. And this is a vintage envelope, and that came from Little Pink Studio on Instagram. She has some great vintage items as well. So I've added that in, and that's the other side of the bag that I've just attached it to. And lots of space there to add some things. I don't know if you can see, I've punched out some butterflies there and added just a little bit of bling. On the other side of the vintage ledger paper, I've got this guest check there, the diner guest check. And then in this bag, I've just got a real variety just of some labels and different things to add throughout the journal. Great pom-pom trim. Just a couple of tags here to add pictures to or to journal. A few buttons there. And here I've clipped, that's from the Maggie Holmes collection as well, and a couple of doilies, another guest check there, a green one, and a While You Were Out tag, and then just a turquoise envelope. All things you could add throughout the journal. So this is the turquoise hanky from that collection that I've just printed onto vellum and added. That's just plain. Added a little ticket there. Just a few different little pieces here to add throughout the journal. That's a little file folder. And then at the back, as I mentioned, I have a large expandable pocket here. This is the last signature, so it's sewn in, and on the back there's a large pocket that you can see here. That's the large pocket that you can keep your things in while you're journaling, and things to add into your journal. So this is the other one, and I've called this one Stories, and I've added that same punched edge there, and then it's got more of a plaid back. So I'm just going to go quickly through this because it's very similar to the other one, and again the painted Tim Holtz nameplate. And there's the shaker bookmark for that one. And the same things here, and the same. So these are very similar journals. This one has the pink here, and the same tag and the same inserts. It's got a different pocket here. And this is the envelope that I have sewn the fabric on, and this is the vintage turquoise seam binding, and then I've got a blue tag there. Same inserts here, and this is the journaling card. And blue paper here. And the vintage envelope. And inserts there. And the same here. I've added lots of different labels there that can be used throughout. This one I've added some vintage, I think it's teachers' planning pages for their courses. So I've added a sheet of that. And this printable from my shop again. I love this. It's obviously torn out of the book, and I've got a little bit of different inserts here. Those sheets again. And these are very similar. That's a fold-out tag for journaling. And the same things clipped here. And that's some vintage trim that I discovered in my mother's stash. The same butterflies and bling, the same inserts here. And then this is the large expandable pocket here in the last signature. And then that's the back. So these are both linked below in my Etsy shop. So I hope you'll check them out. And if you'd like to, you can follow me on Instagram. I know I haven't been on YouTube for a little while. Just been kind of busy, and these took a lot longer than I thought they were going to. But I do always post little sneak peeks and so on of projects that I'm working on my Instagram page. So I will link that below as well. My Instagram is Beth's Journal Boutique. So I will link that, and I will see you all soon. Thanks for watching.